Hey everybody, it's Dr. Lisa Morse. I'm here to talk about my 7-day intensive training in NLP, hypnosis, and quantum time technique. First, I want to tell you about why I got into it. I'm always searching for new things to help myself with my health and my patients with their health. I had bought a book a couple years ago on NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. Unfortunately, I didn't read it. I get a lot of books and I don't have time to read them. So just wondering, is anyone else out there get lots of books and not have time to read them? But that's okay. I came across it again because there was a naturopath in one of my forums talking about how she was really struggling with self-criticism and motivation and just having a hard time in life. And a bunch of people responded, and one of them said, hey, NLP hypnosis has really helped me. I thought, this is something I need to look into. So I got connected with the people that did the training, and after chatting with her, I made a decision that I wanted to do it. I made it because it felt right, which brings me to a question. How do you make decisions? Do you make them because they sound good? Do you make them because they look good? Do you make them because they feel good? Or do you make them after careful analysis of all the research and facts? So it's called in NLP, it's called the primary representational system. So auditory, visual, kinesthetic, how it feels, or auditory digital after analyzing things. I would have thought I was the auditory digital, but I think I'm a kinesthetic person because I just made this decision that it felt right. So you might be wondering what NLP is. I still struggle to find the word, so I'm just looking at my notes here, what I've come up with. But it's examining language, thoughts, and behaviors with the intention of shifting those things so that we can get the outcomes that we want in life. So I finished the 7-day training on Friday, and it was just so intense, so much information, reminding me of naturopathic medical school, like a fire hydrant of information coming at me. I want to talk to you today about quantum time technique, which is kind of a funny name. I actually got called Dr. Strange by somebody, but it's a really cool technique where we're finding out the root cause or initial event that has caused us to have negative emotions or limiting beliefs. Now, this isn't to say that emotions are bad. That all emotions are important, that we feel them, but sometimes we can get stuck in a negative emotion pattern. And so we're trying to find out where that's coming from. So the quantum time technique is based on the idea that we all have a timeline, the things that have happened in our past and that will happen in our future. And those things in our past can continue to affect us. The events that actually happened before we were age 7, those actually are, what am I trying to say? They predict our future because our brain is in a state of theta waves. So we're basically being hypnotized up until age 7. And then I think I posted this somewhere, but 95% of what directs our steps in life is in our unconscious. And so that's huge to think that there's that much control in our unconscious part of our brain or our subconscious. And so the quantum time techniques helps us to identify what those events are. And then it's not that we actually have to talk about them or rehash them as we would in talk therapy. It's just identifying them and then finding out what our unconscious wants instead. And so during the seminar, we worked on the 6 different, we call them the big 6 different emotions. There's anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt and shame. And so they actually kind of go in pairs. The first emotion is the activating emotion. It gets us going, like anger would get us going. The second emotion is the deactivating emotion, and it's more of the emotion of kind of curling up into a ball. The first activating emotion usually covers up the second emotion, the deactivating emotion. So anger usually covers sadness. I wanted to say something about guilt and shame. Wondering if you guys know the difference in between guilt and shame. Guilt is when we think I've done something bad, and shame is when I am bad. So yeah, it's just an interesting tidbit. Brene Brown, I love her. So if you are angry a lot, oftentimes there's sadness under that. And what we did in the quantum time technique was, the first thing was to put our conscious brain on the shelf so that we could tap into the unconscious part. And we put ourselves in our timeline, and then that event in our past that has triggered that emotion or limiting decision often would come up. And we worked through that emotion and witnessed what came up from our unconscious and what our unconscious wanted instead. And then we worked on limiting decisions, which is also limiting beliefs, same thing. But those usually come from an event in our past as well. Okay, I'm going to be a little vulnerable here and say that one of the beliefs that I have had before the training was that there's something wrong with me. I actually had a craniosacral therapist, Rachel Keel. I don't know if any of you guys know her. She's amazing. She came in one time and did some craniosacral on me and was like, you know there's nothing wrong with you. And I was like, whoa, how did she know that? I was thinking that. But through the quantum time technique, I worked on that limiting belief and came up with what my unconscious wanted instead, which is the belief that I am whole and complete. And I just love that. I am whole and complete. All right, so that's quantum time technique. So much cool stuff I learned, and I'm excited to be bringing it back to my patients and continuing to work on it in myself. And I encourage you to just reach out to me and schedule a consult if you want to talk about it. You can go to my website, drlisamorseND.com, and yeah, schedule a consult there. Okay, have a good day, everybody. Take care.